If I could have seen land, I know I could have made it. That's what we're talking about today. Hi, this is Frank Buck, and this is the place to be if you want to get organized and make it look easy. The name Florence Chadwick is probably not familiar, but her story is one that's worth repeating. As we release this episode on July 4th, I take you back to a journey that started on this day in 1952. On that day, Florence Chadwick stepped into the icy water. Her goal? To be the first woman to swim the Catalina Channel, that 26-mile stretch from Catalina Island to the coast of California. You see, she was already the first woman to swim the English Channel both ways. The water was bitterly cold and the fog was so dense she could barely see her hand in front of her face. But she set out on the journey, and 15 hours later, she was still swimming. At her side were boats carrying her mother and riflemen prepared to fire shots at sharks who got too close. She was on her way to achieving another goal. But an hour later, she gave in to the icy cold water and begged to be pulled from the water. She gave up her historic swim. But when the fog lifted, she realized she was less than half a mile from the California shore. In an interview afterwards, Florence Chadwick said, "Look, I'm not excusing myself, but if I could have seen land, I know I could have made it." Now, this story has implications in so many areas for you and for me. The fog can be a metaphor for all the distractions in our lives that prevent us from seeing our goals. The fog can be a metaphor for our own lack of planning. And there's always the question, if we can see through the fog, would we even know what we're looking for? Sometimes we just don't know how close we are to success, and we give up just before the fog lifts. I want to ask each of you a question. Can you remember a time when things weren't going so well and you were ready to blow taps over the whole thing, and then something happened and you could see land so clearly? You knew exactly the destination and how far it was. Did that clarity also make clear the next step toward getting there and give you the motivation to get started? This episode releases on what we in the United States call Independence Day. And it's not a bad day to declare our own independence. Independence from things that don't matter. Independence from concern over other people's opinion when they really don't know what they're talking about. Independence from procrastination. Independence from wasting one more day. When we know the destination and we know the why, everything gets easier. Incidentally, Florence Chadwick did try again 2 months later. The water was just as cold and the fog was just as dense, but this time something was different. Not only did she become the first woman to ever swim the Catalina Channel, but she beat the men's record by 2 hours. On the other side of the fog, there's land. And if you can see it, you can make it. Happy Independence Day in more ways than one. Thanks for stopping by. This has been Frank Buck helping you get organized and make it look easy.